Hi friends, this is Calpun Piso. I'm going to present to you some truth that hides in plain sight. Nobody seems to see it, especially today, which is the 15th of March 2015. An event, something incredible happened over a couple thousand years ago, on the year 44 BCE, the 15th of March. An amazing man sacrificed himself for the gods. And of course, the man was a quite remarkable individual. His name was Gaius Julius Caesar. And it's amazing how he would become the character, the God that we know today as Jesus the Christ. And also many others. And also the word Deus, which means God. In other words, this remarkable man would become one word or three letters. G-O-D, God, or Deus. And of course, in those days, the modern languages of today were unknown. They had not evolved. All these languages in ancient times, from the Greek and Latin, and their many variations evolved, which today known as English and its many variations, German its many variations, Italian, French, and so forth, and the many variations. Because all languages have variations, subjected to the vernacular of the different cultures and places and cities and all that in which the language is spoken. As you can see, the American English, even of the many states on the south, is very different than the ones in the west of the United States and the ones speaking in England, the English. You know, many variations. So we know that. But in truth, Jesus Christ is not a person. It was a title that this remarkable man, Gaius Julius Caesar, was known for. And of course, they eventually will separate, and I will explain that to you. Because now we have, CNN is producing this Finding Jesus. You cannot find him. It's a title. It's just like POTUS, President of the United States. As you can see, if 2,000 years from now, there is a character named POTUS that is a composite of the 40 plus President of the United States, of people that held the title, and it's a composite. You will never find POTUS in history. Exactly the same thing happens to the Jesus Christ. In the Roman Empire, everything had many titles, leaders have titles, everything was personified, emotion was personified, name it. And the cross itself is a tropaion, a symbol of victory, a trophy that actually represented the race of the sun god. And I'll get into that. But I'm going to explain something very simple, how everything mutated over time, and the reason you cannot find Jesus Christ. But that's what all the religions came from, the Roman Empire, the vast Roman Empire, all the so-called Abrahamic religions. In the 4th century, Constantine, of course, it was the one that, it was actually Christus, a divine emperor, but he converted the cult of Jesus Christ, which actually was Caesar, into the only religion accepted in the vast Roman Empire, bringing up the Dark Ages and all that. But let's talk about how did this happen. It was at Nicaea, 325 CE, and the Jesus Christ was being looked at the title that composed all the different Roman emperors that were considered divine. That became the Jesus Christ. And nobody could find him. So they thought he was a Jew. But see, the Jews were Roman citizens of the province of Judea-Palestina. So the whole thing, archaeologists today, it doesn't make any sense, because you try to find a Jewish civilization and you cannot find it, because they're all Roman citizens abiding by Roman laws and everything. That's the reason you don't find anything as a Jewish thing. The Abrahamic religion, they don't exist. They were a composite of the vast religions of the Roman Empire that composed many with many gods. And this becomes very fascinating, because you don't find in Jerusalem, there was a Roman provincial city, and you don't find anything about a Jesus Christ. And you look and look and look, and you don't find the apostles, you don't find anything. And that's when we get into the distortions. The gospel of Caesar became the gospel of Jesus Christ. But gospels are a sacred text of the many gods of the Roman Empire. So all of them have gospels, which is called good news, but they were all different texts. And the most important was the Sibylline oracles and so forth. I mean, so many of them. The Book of the Dead, part of the Book of the Dead, in which Cleopatra, that was a goddess, Isis incarnate, was worshipped, and she was the Lady of the Tower. Lady is a goddess, and Tower is Magdal. So Lady or goddess is Maya, and Magdal is Tower, Lady of the Tower. So Mary of Magdala, in other words, Mary Magdalene, which was lover of Jesus Christ, which is Julius Caesar. I mean, everything is related, but he has separated after time, over centuries and centuries and centuries of distortions. Tempora mutantur, nos emutamur in illis. Times change, and we change with them. In other words, everything evolves over time. Languages, everything evolves. Concepts change. And there was a man named Francesco Carota, a linguist. Brilliant man that started doing research, connecting dots. Because that's what I do too. You have to connect dots to arrive at the truth. The whole life is like millions of pixels creating the picture. If you look at only a few of them, you will not see what it means, what the whole picture means. You have to look at little dots of everything to get the information. In other words, you have to see all the various sciences. You have to know about neurology, which is the brain, the study of the brain, which is extremely important because we're thinking with the brain. And you have to study history, ancient history, different types. You have to study neurology, geology, paleontology, architecture, biology, microbiology, just name it, to actually see the whole picture, and you incorporate everything and you understand things. And also linguistics. But Francesco Carota realized, you start connecting dots, that Jesus was Caesar. And they were, over 10 years of research, connecting dots, looking at the evidence. But don't take his word for it. Don't take his word and all that. Just look at it yourself in the epigraphy. When you read his book, because I read it, I didn't believe it. I had to do all the research and find out who Carota was. Because I had to look into him and his background and everything to see if you know what he's talking about. But then, look at the immense bibliography of this. All the different, everything. That's when you know that a person is actually into something and is speaking the truth, because it's connecting dots. And he's bringing all these ancient historians on this book. It's not bullshit. Read it. And then connect it. And then you'll see that it's all there. I didn't see it. After all my research, I had not seen that Jesus Christ was a title of Julius Caesar. Duh! It was right in front of me. A lot of people don't see it. And of course, being skeptical, I have to investigate it, and the man is correct. And I've seen even more things. So realizing that Jesus Christ is the title of Julius Caesar and the following different emperors, and that titles can become it can become flesh and bone, like Moses is also a title, and many others, and I hadn't seen that. Then you start understanding. You have a picture of what's going on, and oh man, and it's the key. It's the key of the puzzle. And now I can see all the things. Thanks to Carota, thank him very much for actually opening that. Giving me the key to actually see. Now I can see a picture of it and the whole works, and I can explain it. Now I start understanding all this stuff.
Where we can read it, scholars disagree on what it actually says. But what it might say on it, that he's not the bad guy.
But instead he's a good guy, he's the hero?
The hero might be a bit of an overstatement, but that he was doing what Jesus wanted. This is unprecedented.
In the 1947, the Dead Sea Scrolls and all these documents from antiquity that were hidden were found. The Dead Sea Scrolls and so forth. And then much more were found in pieces. And you have the Gnostic Gospels. Many of them in 1947 or so, they were found in fragments. But these are the Gnostic Gospels, includes the Gospel of Judas Iscariot. And it was in like 1,000 pieces, a lot of them. Mary Magdalene, apostle of Jesus. And all this little gospel. Of course, Mary Magdalene was Cleopatra. And Cleopatra was, of course, the goddess of the two lands and of Egypt. She was a Greek lady, and she was lover of the Jesus Christ, Julius Caesar. And of course, her title was Mary of Magdala, Mary Magdalene, Lady of the Tower. But see, it's interesting that you see everything is related. And she was a goddess in her own right. Julius Caesar was a Jesus Christ, a god, the son of Venus, and lover of Cleopatra, and they had a son named Caesarion. And you can see how the whole religion combined into the Roman religion and the Coptic religion, or not the Coptic, the Egyptian religion of Cleopatra and all that combined into this mixed. That was also part of the Roman religion. It's just incredible. Fascinating also is that also another gospel found was the one of Judas Iscariot. But have you noticed that Judas Iscariot is the only apostle that has a last name? No other apostle has a last name. Judas Iscariot. Well, Judas Iscariot was actually Junius Sicarius. And Junius is Marcus Junius Brutus, the supposedly bastard son of Julius Caesar, because he loved him. And in the Gospel of Judas Iscariot, he said that he betrayed Caesar. Well, the regular Gospel said that he betrayed Caesar, but in reality, in the Gnostic Gospels of Julius Iscariot said that no, he loved Caesar, and Caesar told him. Not Caesar, but I'm talking about the Jesus Christ, the title. He told him that Jesus Christ told him that he loved them and that he wanted to be killed. In other words, he wanted to sacrifice himself. Oh man, incredible! Because Julius Caesar committed suicide by cop. Yes, he was 56 years old. He knows that he was going to a lion's den when he went to the Senate. He dismissed his bodyguards. And of course, he received 23 stab wounds. And one of the people that actually stabbed him was Judas Iscariot, which is Junius Sicarius, because Marcus Junius Brutus, after he actually stabbed his father, he escaped. All the assassins escaped, and he went to take refuge in the temple of Jupiter. And everybody calls him Judas the assassin. But the assassin in Latin is Sicarius. Sicario is Latin for assassin, killer. In Spanish, it's Sicario. Listen to that, Sicario. But it's very unusual that, and Junius, the J and the I, Juno is Juno, and his name was Judas Iscariot, which is a distortion of Sicarius. So there is Judas, and it's interesting because in the gospel said that after he was feeling so remorse, feeling so much remorse that he hanged himself, and in the Bible says he hanged himself, and then his guts spilled out. How the heck you hang yourself and your only guts spilled out? Well, of course, he was actually killed in a battle, Judas and Cassius Longinus, the Battle of Philippi, and they fell on his sword, and all the guts spilled out. That's the true end of him. It's very interesting.
That this is
Judas,
authentic. That
Junius,
is a story worth telling.
wanted to do.
Did you all feel
What Jesus, I mean, he was doing what Jesus wanted him to do.
Public,
And Jesus is Caesar. Julius Caesar.
What the cutting edge of scholarship.
And Judas is Marcus Junius Brutus.
Pontificate about what they're sure of.
Everybody believed that was his own son, bastard son.
And they really did. Point of view, the Gospel of Judas is not likely to be a forgery. But figuring out what it means is John the Baptist and Jesus. We talked about that last week. And then this week, Judas, maybe not a bad guy. And logic that we're going to invite the viewers to think about with us. For example, the Gospel of Judas comes from 300 years after Jesus and Judas. What happened 300 years earlier?
Distortions.
Maybe, maybe not.
Distortions.
All right.
And they don't see it.
You've got a lot, Byron.
Idiot.
Thank you so much.
Department of Religious Psychosis.
Jesus.
Here I am on the portico of the sacred area of Lago Argentina, where the Theater of Pompey complex was located at. And that's what Caesar the Christ met his end. He received 23 stab wounds right in this particular place. This is the way the temple of Pompey looks like with the not the temple, the theater, with the temple of Victory. Venus Victrix, and here is from the air the temple complex, and here is I am. Here's the temple of Pompey Magnus. Pompey Magnus equivalent to John the Baptist because he was considered the darling and son of Neptune because he fought a lot of pirates, and here it is. It's all facts. And if you connect the dots, you know who John the Baptist was? He was none other than Pompey Magnus, the consul, the proconsul with Julius Caesar the Christus. And Pompey Magnus was considered the son of Neptune, the god of the sea, because he defeated a lot of pirates. And this is a historical figure. That was his the theater of Pompey. That's the theater of Pompey Magnus. But what happened is when the Civil War, when Julius Caesar went to Egypt, after he defeated all the senators in the Battle of Pharsalus, and Pompey escaped to ask protection from the Pharaoh, and of course the Pharaoh was 13-year-old Ptolemy, and his sister Cleopatra was 18 years old, was in prison. He had to put away. But anyway, what Julius Caesar the Christus was with his army following Pompey to Egypt, and the Pharaoh asked for protection to Pompey asked for protection to the young Pharaoh. But the Pharaoh, when Pompey Magnus landed, he was in a skiff. He actually had his soldiers cut his head off. So when Julius Caesar came to Alexandria with his armies, Ptolemy offered him in a silver tray, that was customary, to Julius Caesar the head of Pompey, and this is a historical fact. Now you have the same thing that happened in the Bible that says that Herod, the King Herod, had a daughter named Salome, and there was John the Baptist was preaching, and Herod's wife didn't like, was being accused of being a whore by John the Baptist, and he was preaching, so she hated John the Baptist, and actually Herod liked him, and he put him in jail. One time, Salome, the daughter, was dancing, and Herod was drunk, and then she dances so well that Herod said, I give you anything, you dance so well, I'll give you half my kingdom, anything you want because you dance so well. So she went over to her mother and says, hey mom, what can I ask him to give me besides the kingdom? And the mother said, oh, ask for the head of John the Baptist. Isn't the Bible bullshit? None of this is true. None. Zero. You don't find anything. You don't find Herod having a daughter named Salome and all this crap. None. Zero. It's all in the Bible crap. So anyway, he cut the head of John the Baptist and gave it to Salome, to the mother, to the queen in a silver platter. But that's where it comes from. Because John the Baptist was none other than Pompey. And Pompey was a consul also with Julius Caesar. In other words, he aspired to be Pontifex Maximus and the head honcho. It's just the same thing like in the Messiah, Jesus Christ the Messiah, and then the other people say John the Baptist was the Messiah. As a matter of fact, in Constantinople, in Byzantium, some sects today, they believe that John the Baptist was the Messiah, and they abide by John the Baptist in the Bible today. Some Christian sects, go check it out. But that's where the whole thing started. So John the Baptist was equivalent to Pompey Magnus. The same way that Junius Sicarius or Junius Brutus was the equivalent to Judas Iscariot, the same thing. But it's just a distortion of everything.
John the Baptist is always represented with a long cross. And you can see it in epigraphy, as Pompey Magnus is depicted with a trident, because he was the son of Neptune. And you can see here who's very religious, who consider he was a proconsul. And here you see Jesus and John the Baptist when they were young.
And now they say that John the Baptist was a brother of Jesus. Because in the Renaissance, two little boys playing around together. And on top of that, you can see the symbol of Pompey Magnus was a trident. The symbol of Neptune. He always, his coins show the trident. And in religious epigraphy of the Renaissance, they show John the Baptist with a cross that is like a trident, a big long cross. When you see that, that's John the Baptist. So, hey, different people. The same person, different titles and things, all confusing. Same thing. The history is true. It's based on facts, on the historical facts, and of course, a lot of stuff is here in Carota. You have to read it and use the historical sources as backing for this and the epigraphy, and you see that it's correct. But it dawned on me that
Brutus Judas,
that he loved Julius Caesar. Actually, killing somebody, if somebody wants to be killed, if I am sick, and I tell a friend of mine, listen, I have cancer and all that, and I'm dying, and I have this pain, kill me. And euthanasia, assisted suicide. But it's very interesting that he dismissed his bodyguards. He went in there, and the sources say that actually, Junius, that he loved, actually stab him and kill him. Actually, Julius Caesar was doing the same thing like many gods do. And people that want to see the messages of the messages. And if you're in a battle and you're a son of a king, and you know that the enemy is coming and very numerous, you want to ask protection for the gods, so they ritualistically kill you. And it's historical fact. So actually they kill you, so you go, your soul, your spirit goes and asks for help from the gods. And it happens all over history. You have examples of that. So I speculate, this is my hypothesis, that actually he was telling Junius, Marcus Junius Brutus, he was telling his son, listen, I want to save my people in Rome as a divine son of Venus. And Pontifex Maximus, he would say, I want to give my blood. I want to be, in other words, he was the lamb. He sacrificed himself for the people. You see. And I believe that's exactly what happened. We know that Julius Caesar committed suicide by cop, but of course, his image put in the Tropaion during the funeral games, and then the 20th of July of the same year, 44 BCE, a comet appeared in the daytime for 10 days, and the Son of God, Augustus, saying, it was not Augustus yet, it was Octavius, he would say, this is my father in heaven. Here, this appearance, and he's with his mother Venus in heaven. That's just the Star of Bethlehem, the Jewish star, and the Islamic star all connecting together. And this is what you see the effect. So this is what happens. But it became a title, and the Gospel of Caesar became the gospel of his title, which is Jesus Christ. 15th day of Mars, of the god Mars, we must truly remember and keep in mind this amazing, amazing man, Gaius Julius Caesar. Let's honor him, the true Christus. Let's honor him and his accomplishments. Turn the other cheek, the Clementia Cesaris, his accomplishments. The guy was absolutely amazing, amazing, a towering intellect. And let's honor him. Honor him, not his title of Jesus Christ. It's a disservice. It's a disservice. He was an amazing, amazing man, an Epicurean, like his father-in-law, Lucius Calpurnio Piso Caesoninus, his namesake. My main namesake. Jesus was Caesar. Pace Deorum. All the best, and that's the truth. Check it out for yourself. You'll find it all in there in epigraphy. I only speak facts. All the best.